I still felt tremendous guilt at the end for not saving him. Passed away in 2021 before the book ever came out.
Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect podcast,
where we interview interesting people with a story to tell
and share what breadcrumbs they picked up along the way. I'm Danny.
And I'm Brittany.
Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect.
Welcome to the Breadcrumb Effect. Today, we're joined by April Henley, an indie author based in Houston, Texas. She's a proud Texan and Baylor Bear. Her love for storytelling began in childhood with a story about a blue-winged unicorn named Sapphire, but it truly caught fire during a creative writing class in high school. That early story eventually became Treasures in a Bottle, which she revisited for years before publishing in 2023. April writes fiction and fantasy that inspire imagination and invite readers of all ages to get lost between the pages. When she's not writing, she enjoys horseback riding, Renaissance festivals, cosplay, food, and travel. Let's help her uncover her breadcrumbs.
April, thank you so much for joining us. This is really important for us because this is a full circle moment. We met at the network for the Texas Books to Network. That was our first time meeting, right?
Yeah, at the Fabled Bookstore in Waco.
Which was almost a year ago now?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, and what's great about that is that's where Brittany and I first publicly announced that we were going to do a podcast. And at that time, it was still just an idea, a concept. And now here you are, full circle, sitting on the couch, and it's a reality. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. And yes, I remember when you both announced it and I mentioned my interest, and now we're here. So thank you.
Yes, you're actually one of the first to fill out our guest interest form too. So
are you serious?
Yes, girl.
People, start filling it out.
Well, now we've got like a list of like 170 people, which is really awesome. And the list continues to grow every week. So what made you want to go to that network event?
When I joined the Texas Books to Friends Network, I believe another author friend invited me into that group. You guys were organizing the meetup in Waco, and I got so excited because I'm a Baylor University grad, and I enjoyed my time at Baylor, enjoyed my time in Waco. So any excuse to go back to the campus to walk memory lane. Also, the Fabled Bookstore was not there when I was in school, so getting to visit an indie bookstore and then the opportunity to make new book friends, it was just a great experience I could foresee. I went, had a great time with y'all, loved the bookstore, loved everybody, hearing everyone's backstory as to why they were book lovers or aspiring writers or aspiring authors. It was a great experience. So any excuse to go back to Waco. So you could say Baylor was a breadcrumb that I always go back to.
Yeah. Tell us more. So what was your major? What led you there?
Backing up. So at 16 is when I knew I wanted to be an author. And I told my dad, and he said, "You'll starve. Think of something else."
Are you starving right now?
No.
Okay.
But I will say being a self-made author is not lucrative per se. I mean, it takes some time. So anything I do make from book sales immediately turns over for more inventory and table fees. But it's still worth it. It's a great experience. I would not change that. So Dad said, think of something else. Baylor at the time had announced a professional writing degree. I wanted it. So they were the only university I applied to. The degree allowed me to learn technical, business, marketing writing in addition to creative writing. So went to Baylor for that. In addition to learning all those writing skills, met wonderful professors, some of whom were published themselves, very encouraging. I also got a short story published in a Waco literary magazine during college, pitching story ideas to professors and them saying, "This is a great story, don't put it down." So it was a great experience all the way around, and I would not change it for anything.
Wow. So you were 16. You said, "I want to be an author." What made you know that you want to be an author at 16?
I was writing stories as a child. My mom, 2 years ago, gave me a keepsake box from my childhood. I did not know about this. Like, I obviously had forgotten. But inside were my initial manuscripts for stories. The earliest one is about a blue-winged unicorn who goes for a walk through an enchanted realm. And I illustrated myself in my very primitive drawings. But I think the desire to be a storyteller was always in me. And then at 16, when I took a creative writing class in high school, my passion caught fire. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I enjoy. And it was at 16 that I actually got the inspiration and initial idea for my novel Treasures in a Bottle.
Oh,
Wow. And was Treasures in a Bottle the first one?
Yes,
That
that
you
was
did?
my debut fantasy novel that I published at 33 years old.
Wow. So from 16 to 33, you were working on this concept.
At 16, I was inspired, wrote a rough 30 pages, basically the bare bones. I had no idea what I was doing, and filed them away. Through my 20s and college, I revisited the story, but was not ready yet. But at 28, told myself, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write this, and it's going to be complete, and I'm going to publish it.
I love
that's
that.
so awesome. So how long did it take from I'm going to sit down to do it to completion?
When I initially started writing it, I had some trepidation. I was nervous because I thought, like any creative, there were the doubts, is this really going to be a good idea? Is anyone going to read it or like it? I don't really know what I'm doing. I've never written a book before. Initially, I was slow to start. Then 2 books changed the game for me. I love telling people what they are because it's surprising. To preface this, I'm a fantasy writer, right? Well, the first book was Stephen King's It, which is not fantasy. Everyone knows this is a scary story. At the time, part 2 of the It remake was coming out and everyone was raving. And I'm like, what is the big deal about a clown that kills kids? I don't understand. So I went to Barnes & Noble, bought the book.
Which is like this thick.
It's 3,000 pages.
3,000 pages, people.
I'm like, man, that's a lot of words.
Yep.
Okay, I'm thinking this better be good. And from the first sentence, he had me. It wasn't just the story, it was his writing style. From the first page to the end. And when I reached the end, I thought, this is how I want to tell a story. Not necessarily like steal his writing style, but take it and adapt it to who I am. And it's interesting because I've watched so many interviews of King. And one of the things he actually says to aspiring writers is read a lot. Because when you're reading, without even knowing it, you're taking in writing styles. And when you sit down to write, you end up kind of mashing them together to make your own. So when people read Treasures in a Bottle, I tell them it's a combination of Stephen King and Peter S. Beagle, because those were the books I was reading while I wrote that story. It was the first book of his I'd ever read. So I was inspired by his writing style. And then after I finished it, my mom gifted me his book on writing, which is part autobiography, part his no-nonsense advice to aspiring writers. He has a lot of great tidbits in it, but the one that stood out for me was he does not plot or outline his stories. He will ask himself a question, and then writing the story is the long answer to that question. And one of the things is he says he never forces his characters to do anything. Rather, he's writing based on their goals, objectives, who they are, what's motivating them, and they kind of lead off, and he's just following along. When I read that, I thought, okay, I want to apply this to my story. So I knew the beginning and the end from when I first had the idea at 16, didn't know the middle. I applied his method, and every day I sat down to write with no expectations. I swear the characters just took off, and I was going along with them as their chronicler. And at the end of a writing session, and it could be 1 hour, it could be 6 hours, I would just be left in awe and surprise of the things my characters said and did. And I'm like, I did not expect that. And that's part of the joy I find in discovery writing. You yourself are being entertained as you're writing that story. It went through several drafts, probably about 6, between myself, my beta readers, and my editor. And now it's here today.
Oh my God.
Oh.
So before we get into what it's about, I will say you are describing what being a creative is perfectly, right? Like at first you talked about this resistance that you're feeling. And I don't know if you've read any of Stephen Pressfield, but he writes a lot about resistance because of how apparent it is that every creative goes through it. You have your doubts, right? You have things that get in the way, your roadblocks, and you let it happen. And so in Stephen King's On Writing, he talks about like, sit your ass in the chair and just write. And you become, I didn't use this word vessel, but this is the word I like to use, is you become like a vessel and the story starts writing through you and it just becomes revealed. And if you're excited about the story, the people reading the story becomes excited about it. And I think it was actually Colleen Hoover who I heard I laugh, but in an interview said that. She's like, if you're bored by your own story, the
Yes.
reader's going to be bored by your own story.
It's true. You have to have a thrill for what you're creating. You are creating something that did not exist seconds ago, minutes ago, or ever. You're giving these characters life. You're giving them personalities, backstories. Your characters are relying on you as much as you are relying on them. It's interesting when I go to writers groups, I ask them, I say, does anyone feel guilty that their characters are waiting for their turn and you haven't seen them in a week? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, they're very real to me.
Oh, I obsess over them. Like,
This, okay, as a non-writer, this is very interesting to me because I first of all, I've never heard of this way of writing, right? Like, because I don't know. I'm not a writer.
pantsing, where you just
Yeah,
let the
pantsing.
free flow,
Because you're writing by the seat of your pants, so they call you a pantser rather than
Pacing.
as opposed
Yeah.
to plotting.
rather than a plotter. Plotter versus pantser. Discovery writer sounds so much nicer.
No, I like cancer.
Like discovering your breadcrumbs.
Yeah, you're just picking up one breadcrumb at a time.
Y'all are talking about this in the fact of you don't know what the characters are going to do. You're just sitting there. It's flowing. You're writing and they do whatever they want. And that to me is so, like, my brain can't wrap my head around it because I don't feel that I'm creative in that way. But I can switch it to when I did dance. I didn't have I didn't know what was going to happen next. The music, I would be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do this. And then this is going to happen. And it's similar. I mean, different, right?
No, it's
But-
the same thing. Any creative,
right.
it's the same.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's so cool because, like, I'm just thinking, like, of your characters. I'm reading, by the way, I am just started ACOTAR and I'm on the second book, obsessed, by the way. And I'm thinking, like, okay, if I was the writer and I'm doing all of these things, I'm intrigued. Like, I don't know. I'm really excited to read this book now and figure out what was going through your mind and what's going through the characters' minds.
I love my characters. And I think because I didn't plot their backstories and who they were, they got to express themselves every day with me. I fell in love with them more deeply than I would have if I had just plotted out who they were. Characters I didn't think I would be in love with, I did fall in love with. They're my favorites. And the characters you think would be the favorites, I'd still love them, but there are just others who had more impactful stories to share. I love discovery writing. And I do encourage anyone who is a writer to at least give it a shot just once. I'm not saying that it's the be-all, end-all method. Obviously, plotting does have its merits, or you can do a mix of both. I've done that with my next fantasy novel that I hope to start writing. But
We'll start writing.
we'll start writing. It's got a number. All the characters are in the office in the back of my mind, kind of like that meeting room in Beetlejuice. But instead of the dead, it's all characters, and they've got a number waiting their turn. But we'll write.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Wait, so I have to ask, when you were done writing the book, I mean, like, these characters kind of become almost like a part of you, right? Like, even like when you're reading, they become a part of you. But I can only imagine if you're writing, they're like really almost ingrained in you. How did it feel to be done and like put the pen or computer down, however you did it, and be like, okay, they're not in my head anymore?
There's the initial, when you finish the first draft and you're like, you feel like you just poured a bit of your life essence into the story. And so you kind of just need a break.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stephen King recommends a 6-week break at the minimum to step away from it because you've just put so much of yourself into it. And if you immediately try to edit, you're just too close to it. So it does feel like part of me just got put into the words and I'm like, I need to recover. And then there's your editing process that comes later. And you're still very close to your characters. You're like, okay, we wrote the story. What's missing? What can be better? And it's like working with your characters to flesh out the story, flesh out the tidbits that maybe you missed the first draft because you were just so excited in the moment that you missed the tiny details along the way or that are on the sidelines. But when you reach that final draft where it's time to publish and it becomes an actual book in hand, it just kind of feels almost bittersweet. I was so happy to have finished Treasures because it was a story that was with me for so long. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I hate saying goodbye. And actually, the story has the potential to branch off into 12 more.
Just 12.
It's a standalone. It has a happy ending. And the readers can decide for themselves what happens to the characters after, kind of like anyone wants to imagine what happens to our favorite characters in Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. There's also the potential for me to step up and do more. And some readers have already asked, they're like, when is the next one? And I'm like, it took me like several years for this to get here. Give me a chance to recover.
I think people really understand how long the process is to create a book, even from idea to the buy button. It takes a while.
It does. I'm actually very impressed with, I know authors who have done a book a year. And
Or more. It's insane.
And they'll write their manuscript in 6 months, hand it off to their publisher. And I'm like, how did you do that when you're a full-time mom and spouse and you have a job and all these commitments? And I just am so impressed by them. For me, I relish taking my time because I feel like I do my best work. Everyone's different.
These are authors not using AI. And in the book world, I mean, this is a hot topic in a lot of industries right now. This is one where it's like, we do not use AI to write. We do not use it to, like, this is like a firm line in the sand.
Yes.
Some of those where they're, popping out for a year.
And you can tell what's AI generated and what's not. It's interesting. Right now, I'm trying to return to full-time employment. And a lot of jobs are teaching AI to write. And I feel like that's a compromise in my ethics. I'm not going to teach it something to replace people. One of the questions I got in an interview was, well, in your opinion, why will AI never be human? And I told them, it does not understand the human experience and the emotions we assign to those experiences. It can never understand that. That's why I believe AI will never be able to write a story, because it doesn't understand what draws us in. How do we relate to characters and the moments they go through that relate to our own?
They have an interpretation of emotion. They can attempt to evoke emotion. They can falsify emotion, but they are not emotional things. They're not even beings, right? Things.
They don't have a soul.
For real. We can unplug you.
I'm like, oh, that's so sad.
Okay, tell us about your book.
Treasures in a Bottle is a cozy medieval fantasy that follows the wizard Merlin 100 years after King Arthur and the events of Camelot. Merlin must prevent magical creatures from disappearing from the world.
Wow. I'm intrigued already.
So the longer version is after Arthur died in the Battle of Camlin, there was no heir to the throne. The neighboring nations are fighting for the throne. They become desperate, so they start hunting magical creatures, hoping to possess their magic to sway the battle. This does not work. Magical creatures, their magic is unique unto themselves. If their life is expired, the magic expires with them. These magical races, there are 12 in the book. They take their races into hiding. Eventually, a king is named. The battles stop, or the wild hunts is what they called them when they were hunting mythical creatures. There is peace for 100 years as long as these creatures are hiding. Merlin, meanwhile, after losing Arthur, he's like, I'm done with man. I'm retiring. He goes north to the mountains, stays with dragons, and is living out his life in peace. Well, 100 years goes by. One day, the Lord of Dragons, his name is Dryas, he comes to Merlin. They're great friends, and he says, because we've been hiding, humans are forgetting us, and if they stop believing in us, we will fade into the nothing. Help us, because if we reveal ourselves, we are afraid we will be hunted again. And so Merlin has to come up with a plan to restore the faith without compromising their safety.
Wow.
That is a great concept.
Yeah. And it's not, I just have to mention, if people aren't looking and watching this, that this is not only a book that you can read, this is also a book that you can color in.
That's correct. So there's a couple of the illustrations alongside words on the next page. I have to say, I always knew I wanted my books to be illustrated. When I was growing up, I was in love with the work of Greg Hildebrandt. He and his brother did illustrations for a number of fairy tales, and Greg would do illustrations for classics such as Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, Peter Pan. Beautiful illustrations. And growing up, I just fell in love with those. So as an adult, I knew I wanted my books illustrated. Kind of difficult thing to pitch a novel and say, well, I want it illustrated. A lot of agents, when I pitched them, said, that's not a thing. Which is funny now, because when you go to the Barnes & Noble and you see the illustrated Harry Potter books that are huge and big, bold, beautiful colors, I'm like, it's a thing. When I was going to self-publish and I got partnered with my illustrator, Brian Brindley, we initially were talking about doing color illustration. And then first we had to find out if we liked each other. So he's like, well, let's do a test sketch. So I sent him an idea. It was from chapter 2 of the book, described it for him in detail. And this is the illustration.
Wow. For those that can't see, it's beautiful. Do you want to describe the image
Yes.
a little bit?
Merlin finds a bottle washed up on a beach, and inside are 2 drawings. One is of a unicorn guarding over a child, and the other is a knight fighting a dragon. When Brian sent me the sketch, he sent it to me as it looks now in pencil, because he was like, before I color this, let's make sure you like the style. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, not only do I like your style, Brian, and not only did we get along really well, I was like, what if we make this a coloring book? And he's like, I don't think anyone's done that. And he's a comic book artist and a fantasy illustrator and does wonderful work. So we ran with it, and there are 50 illustrations in the book, plus the cover art. I have to say, I was not sure how people were going to receive it, but I was proud of it. Brian was proud of it. But people have gravitated towards the idea of I can color the novel, which means I'm making it my own. It's a one of a kind once you color it.
I think that's so cool because a few reasons. Number one, like you said, they make it a part of their own. So now your story is like their story, which everyone wants, wants to be a part of something. Also, guys, coloring as an adult, we fucking need it. Okay. It's so relaxing. Reading is an escape, right? And coloring is very relaxing. So you tell me that you can escape something and relax at the same time. I'm sold. Like, this is a cool idea.
What was it, maybe 3 years ago when Houston lost most of its power grid? A lot of us were in the dark. I had a reader reach out to me, and she said that my story gave her comfort while being in the dark. She was reading it by candlelight, and then after she read it, she started coloring the pictures. She's like, I just wanted you to know that your book gave me comfort during this time. And I'm like, that's what I want.
So you've done a lot of neat events with this book too. So can you share maybe some of the places you've taken this book?
There have been so many. So I've taken the book as far as Northern Ireland. I had a wonderful opportunity to sign at Belfast Books and Ball Gowns, their first of time. It's run by an author named Nikita Rogers. I remember I stumbled upon the website for the event just by Googling international book events. And it was the first one that popped up, and she already had a wait list. And I thought, it cannot hurt to put my name on the wait list. You never know. And then 30 days later, she messaged me and she's like, somebody dropped out. Do you still want the spot? So I'm like, yes. So getting to go across the pond with my book, which honestly, because a lot of the legends and lore of Merlin and Arthur are over there, it just felt like I was bringing it home. And after I did the event, I got to take a tour of parts of Northern Ireland, Scotland, England. And in England, I actually went to Tintagel, which is the legendary birthplace of King Arthur. So there's a picture of me with the gallows statue, or also called the King Arthur statue, with my book. And down below is the cave that supposedly it's called Merlin's Cave, where Merlin raised Arthur.
Cool.
It was so great.
And what a full circle
That's a
moment.
breadcrumb.
Yeah, you're literally picking up.
I know.
Breadcrumbs.
That is a breadcrumb. The fact that, number one, you Googled it, just happened to stumble across it. Number two, there was a wait list and you said, fuck it, I'm putting my name on it. And number three, someone had to drop out. Then she had to call you and you had to say yes. That's a breadcrumb.
It was wonderful. I really feel like I like to say God opens doors, and he really did with that one. I never would have dreamed getting to go over there. And other events, I've had a wonderful mix of events here in the States. I've gone to California, Massachusetts, Georgia, Missouri, and done a lot here in Texas. I think 2 of my favorite venues. I love going to Renaissance festivals, selling my books there. It's a fantasy book. It's a fantasy venue. People love it. And then also going to comic book conventions and selling it there as well.
Right.
I just appreciate the opportunity to meet readers, share with them my stories, have those life experiences.
I want to get back to the Ren Fest, but you recently were at the Fredericksburg Book Fest.
Yeah, so the Fredericksburg Book Festival, this was their 2nd annual. They reached out to me. This was a first for me. They said, we would love to have you as a guest author. Will you come speak? And I said, yes, I would love to. For their 2nd annual, they did an amazing job. I cannot say enough good things about them, the committee. They were so receptive to me. They were prepared and ahead of time. They gave me a handler. Her name was Karen. She was awesome.
We need a handler.
I need a handler every day. I told her, I was like, can you be my agent? Because
Can you just come up with me? I just want to apply to be a handler too.
she was wonderful.
Tell me more about it.
She helped book me a school talk. I walked them through the steps of how to create a story. She made sure that I knew where to be, when. There was an author reception the night before the festival, and then the festival itself. She did her homework. Like, she bought the book ahead of time. She's like, I need to know who you are. I want to get a sense for your story. When she got up there, she told everyone that it gave her Princess Bride vibes.
Oh, I like
Oh,
that.
Princess Bride is like,
Yeah, that's quite an honor.
yeah.
It is an honor. I love the Princess Bride. And I did talk about imagination to publication. So the inspiration for the book, the writing process, the unique challenges and freedoms of self-publishing, also the many hats of a self-published author, and also how it became a coloring novel.
That's so neat. You just mentioned the many hats. I don't think everyone realizes when you self-publish, there's pros and cons, and you own every set, right? Like marketing. Like,
You become a one-woman or man team. You are responsible for every step of the process. So I will tell people I am my own publisher, book designer, editor, signing the book events, applying, coordinating with the event coordinators for all communications, also social media manager, marketing manager. I run my website and a newsletter. There's a lot going on in the background. It really is a full-time job. That's the thing. People will go, oh, it must be great to be an author because all you do is write. And I'm like, I wish that was all I was doing. If that was all I was doing, I'd have more books out. But you really do become responsible for everything. And you are also, I have to say, financially responsible. You are putting all of your money into this, all your hopes and dreams. So you're hoping it's going to work.
also, you just described as just our podcast, right? Like,
It's any entrepreneur. I mean,
Yeah.
being an author, you're a freaking entrepreneur. What's a little terrifying about it is because you're bearing your soul. Your creative outlet is for consumers, right? And it is terrifying to say, like, will they like it? But what I love is when you just say, fuck it, and you just do what you want to do, not for anyone else, but for yourself. And I find that when that happens, everyone loves it.
it's true.
And if they don't,
Yeah.
fuck them. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Like, you got told no and you did it anyway.
Yes. When I queried this to the agents, my mother encouraged me to seek traditional publishing. She's like, you might as well try it. At least say you did, so that no one asks. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I will pitch it. So I pitched it to like over 20 agents, all of whom specialize in middle grade fantasy, because at the time I thought I was writing this for middle graders. I had no idea that after publishing it, that adults were going to be gravitating towards it. I kind of like to say now it's story for all ages. These agents, they all said no, but the top 3 reasons were, well, it's too long, or it's not what's popular, and no one illustrates a novel. And I was just like, first of all, who decides what's too long for a middle grade reader? I know middle grade readers who are voracious with books, and they don't care how big it is. They'll just knock it out. And then as what's popular, well, there are so many different interests and fascinations out there. You're not going to tell me that all the kids like one thing. And then, as we said earlier, obviously illustrating a novel is not a strange concept. It works.
Yeah. So you were the first illustrative novel as far as like what you did, right?
I would say the first to create a novel that is also a coloring book. So it came out in December of 2023. I'm looking at Brian going, okay, I know we said we think we're the first ones. How do we know? So we had to wait a whole year, and I had to keep researching, going online, checking social media, and searching, like, is this a thing? But all that had ever come out were coloring books based on books. So like you would just get a coloring book with all the illustrations, but none of the words. And I thought, man, we are the first. So in 2025, I finally put the label on it. I'm like, yeah, we're the world's first novel coloring book. And no one has challenged it. No one has contested that. And I'm like, okay, it's real.
Claim it.
I
You
love
own
that.
it. You put the work in. You deserve that.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
You know, when you were growing up, I know that you mentioned that your dad said, you want to be an author, do you want to starve? But when you were growing up, how did they encourage creativity?
Growing up, my parents, I have to say, they were the earliest influences on me being a storyteller, first and foremost. So my dad read to me the bedtime stories every night. And then by day, my mom read me fairy tales, fables, mythologies. And my mom is also an avid collector of children's books. She has a library full of them. And then my dad was just a natural born storyteller himself. If we went to see family, he would have everyone's ear in the room. So between the two of them, I feel like it was going to happen. I was going to become a storyteller. My parents never stifled my creativity or imagination. If I wanted to play pretend or make believe, they let me. And I think that's so important as a child because it's part of the innocence before growing up. I think every child needs that time to believe in magic, believe in the impossible, everything fantastic. It plays a part in becoming a creative. And I feel like when I sit down now as a writer at my desk, I feel like my inner child is right there with me. She'll put her hand on top of mine and she helps me get back in touch with that whimsy from my youth. And so when I write, nothing seems impossible that I put on the page. It's all believable.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you for saying that because, we are moms to young girls, encouraging that creativity and allowing for them to play. I wish that we never stopped. The world kind of hardens us. And sometimes as we get older, maybe through peers saying that it's silly now, look at freaking cosplay. As an adult, don't we want to do it? I mean, we want to dress up. We want to have fun. We want to get lost in a story. It never goes away. It's just the world kind of tells us like, oh, you're not supposed to do that now, but why not?
I think the world has changed in that we've lost some of our wonder and appreciation for everything that can be creative and come from originality. The world is so fast-paced now. Everyone demands that you put everything that you are into a job and to corporate. I don't want to put down anyone who does have a job. If that's what their passion is, that they want to climb the ladder and be successful, do it. But at the same time, there are some of us who, like us creatives, all we want to do is contribute to the beauty of the world. We want to contribute to art and to stories and to music, kind of just make things better for people, leave our mark. I think it's sad that the world just kind of smushes it now, kind of smothers us, makes us mute.
Well, and it provides the escape for those that are, like you said, in the job, in the cycle, or feel stuck. And so hopefully this can either pull people out of that or provide them the escape that they need. It's a healthy escape.
Yeah, it is. I love, at the end of the day, especially a long day of work, getting to curl up with a book and get lost in another world with other characters, and the real world just fades to the background.
Exactly.
That's happening for me every single night when I read my books. And I'm here for it. I know that you mentioned your parents were really supportive, and your dad specifically is like a great storyteller. I have to imagine, I know he made a joke when you're 16 and said like, oh, do you want to starve? Haha. Like, parents got to do that. They have to, right? They have to.
They gotta put your feet back on the ground.
They have to keep us humble, right? Otherwise, we're going crazy. But I have to imagine that now they're so proud of you for creating these 2 novels and really putting yourself out there.
So, heartfelt truth here. My dad passed away in 2021 before the book ever came out. So I was in the process of writing it at the time. So I was 29 when he passed. He passed away in January of 21. And I was just, at the time, writing it. It was still in the first draft mode. So he never got to see it. But I know he can see it from where he is. And I know he's proud. But my mom has seen it. And my family has seen it. My dad's brothers. And all of them are like, he would be so proud of you. So yes, I think and know that if he were here, he would be very proud of me for chasing that dream and seeing it through.
I know. Like I didn't know.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So, and actually, I do dedicate the book to 3 people, and he's one of them.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Gosh, that is. And I think he was a breadcrumb for you.
He really was. He taught me a lot about just family values, taught me about business. I was his only child, so he taught me how to be independent and how to, and in that, be a free thinker and, how to never give up. He was an entrepreneur himself. I got to see him start his business out of our house and have success with it. And so in kind of a way, like you said, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I started with an idea and now it's catching fire. It's going.
Oh my gosh. And he probably shows up throughout your whole journey.
He does. He really does.
I was going to say, it seems like, he passed away almost, 2 years before you published it?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he had to have something to do with it being out in the world.
And I know I came up with the story, like I said, when I was 16. he and my mom saw the bare bones of it and held on to their copies of all of my original works. But just to be like, I wish he could see what it is now. I'm not sure if he would read it. I love my dad. He was not the fantasy person. Mom was. Dad liked nonfiction and historic. But no, I know he would be proud.
Yeah, he would.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's watching over you, and he's probably leaving some breadcrumbs for you.
I believe it. And his brothers, my uncles, have been great with him. With him gone, they've all obviously stepped up and kind of filled in, like advising me on my business and my choices as a professional. It's been good.
That's
my
beautiful.
gosh.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like that much more honored to have you here with us for sharing your story. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're done. I'm kidding.
We have to tell you about something we've been loving lately. It fits our whole breadcrumb philosophy perfectly. It's called the Feel Good Workbook, and it was created by Dr. Kell, who you might remember from our manifesting episode. You know how she talks about following the universe's breadcrumbs? This workbook is basically that, but on paper, with actual tools you can use in real life. The idea behind it is honestly so simple, but so powerful. It teaches you how to use your human guidance system, which is basically your built-in compass for life. Think of it like the game Hot and Cold. When something feels good, you're moving in the right direction. When something feels heavy or off, that's your signal that you're getting colder and maybe taking a step away from what you actually want. What we love about this workbook is that it shows you how to read those emotional signals in real time and then shift back to feeling good fast. Not ignore your feelings, not push through. Just gently course correct so you stay aligned with where you're meant to go. Because here's the thing, the key to health, healing, and honestly creating a life you love is feeling good. And when you feel good, you're aligned, you're magnetic, you're following the breadcrumbs. And when you don't, this workbook helps you figure out why and what to do next. And the best part is our listeners get 10% off the Feel Good Workbook. Just use the code breadcrumbs10 at checkout. Feel free to go to the link in our show notes, or you can go to Linktree/Dr. Kelly, that's Dr. Kelley. So if you're trying to live more intentionally, more aligned, and actually enjoy the path you're on, this is such a good place to start.
Joking. I want to hear more about cosplay.
Because you want to cosplay in Ren Fair.
So thank you for sharing all of that. What I also like is that they encouraged you, like you said, to have the whimsy, be creative. And I like that you haven't lost all of that. And in fact, it shows up in a lot of different places in your life still. And I know I've seen these on your account, like Ren Fest and Cosplay. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. It really is a fantasy land. I started Walking Parade, and then I met the Solar Rain Fire Entertainment Troupe, and I started being their videographer. I'm still their videographer, making their promo videos. Now I sell my books at the fair as well. I love going to the Renaissance Festival in a way. As I mentioned earlier, as a child, I would play it pretend and make believe. Well, the Ren Fair, you just dress up and you get to be an original character for a day. You can be a fairy, an elf, you can be a warrior, a barbarian, a pirate, and you just get to be somebody else for a whole day. And it's just an extension of playing pretend as an adult. And in the same way with cosplay, most people will cosplay a character that's already known, whether that's, you know, something from a movie or comic books, but you're still play rolling. So cosplay is costume play role. You get to be that character for a day, or you can make your own version of a character, being that character for the day. And it's fun. It's fun to dress up. It's fun to have conversations with regular people as this fictional character. And I love it.
Probably fun to see their responses to you. So what are some of these characters that you play?
So when I cosplay, I typically do Harley Quinn. She's one of my favorites. I've made original versions of her. Like I've had a barbarian Harley, I've had a circus Harley, but then I've also done the traditional looks. Other characters, I've cosplayed Red Sonja. I've done a tribute cosplay to David Bowie as the Goblin King. But I think my favorite part when you cosplay these characters, people, you see their eyes light up because they're so enamored with your outfit. And I especially love kids' reactions. They shout out your character name as if you're the real character and they come running up. They want a picture with you. They want to talk with you. It's just like the sweetest thing. And then with the Ren Fair, I'm almost myself. I'm not putting on a character that's known. I'm putting my own character. So most of the time I do a lot of barbarian garb, Viking inspired. I love interacting with kids.
You're leaving breadcrumbs for other people, especially kids, to explore their creativity and not let it go. So I think that's a really beautiful moment because, man, I just really think that we need to have more creativity, have more fun in our lives,
We
and
do.
having those little pieces and moments of joy are unforgettable.
I agree.
You might be like leaving more breadcrumbs than you're picking up. I'm thinking about that because think about it, your writing style and what you're writing, you're not only writing in cozy fantasy, but you're also having the coloring aspect. So it's instilling, number one, reading is creative. Number two, coloring, that's creativity. Then you're talking to schools, talking to children, cosplaying, having fun with kids. You're keeping magic alive.
Oh, I love that. If that can be my legacy, I will take that because I feel that I want the next generation to have more whimsy than what we've had. I want to see more creativity. I want to see more of an output of art and music and books. I feel like everyone has the potential to create. They just need that little spark.
Yeah,
That's true. We didn't talk about this one, though. Would you like to talk about this?
Sure. So this,
So sorry, Waldough.
I'll wait for it to come down.
now you've exposed where Waldough is.
So this is my children's book, The Hobgoblins Nightlight. It's for early readers, so I recommend ages 4 through 8. And it is also a story coloring book.
Beautiful.
So the story follows a hobgoblin who creates the first nightlight to protect children from nightmares. Literal nightmares.
Parents need this. I need this.
Nightmares. Oh my gosh,
I need
it's
it.
not a nightmare, but it's a nightmare, like a night horse, guys, if you can't see the
A
book.
nightmare.
Mare.
Genius.
This idea was inspired by a very early morning at a cabin in the woods. I had already finished this one. I was like, okay, I've got the thrill to write. I got to do something. So I got up before the sunrise and I'm sitting on the back porch of this cabin in the dark with the trees around me. And all I've got is a candle. I'm just kind of staring at the screen, little cursors blinking. I stare at the candle and I'm watching the light. It's chasing the shadows. I started thinking, what if a candle had the magical ability to fend off the shadows? And then I thought, not shadows, nightmares. And I kid you not, I call it the writer's mist of my mind. This is where my characters will step out of to introduce themselves. But out of that mist came this little hobgoblin. And he started telling me a story. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I wrote the first draft that morning and was done by the sunrise. And I showed it to my mom. And I'm like, what do you think? And she's like, I love this.
Amazing.
Wow.
Cannot wait to read that with my girls.
I know. I'm like, I love the way your mind works. I mean, this is really cool to see that, you're just observing light and from a freaking candle, the way you tell the story about the shadows moving, I'm like, I'm already intrigued. I'm like, can you talk more actually?
I find inspiration everywhere. So obviously it's important to read a lot if you want to be a writer, and you are being like that well of your imagination is filled when you read other people's original ideas. But I also find inspiration, for example, when I go to museums and whether like I look at art and I look at those beautiful paintings, or when I travel and I'm hearing the local folklore, or I'm listening to music and something will start, like there'll be a spark and I'll start seeing this reel playing in my head. I'm like, that's a story idea. And I'll start jotting the notes down. I have over 500 notes in my phone about story idea that eventually will be written. I just don't know if I will live long enough.
That's real too. Too many book ideas and not enough life.
Exactly. If I could, this is why I wish being a writer, an author meant, all I do is write. I wish.
Okay, I'm going to manifest for you that you're going to have one person to do all of the admin, all of the marketing, all of the social media, so that you can focus on just writing and getting all this stuff done. By the way, I'm also manifesting this for you, Danny.
Well, thank you.
Gotcha,
A side note, you too.
So April, I want to know, have you ever had a random encounter that might have led to something bigger?
I never believe in the random. I believe in God opening doors, his providence, that he will prosper us for our good. The only reason Treasures in a Bottle got published is because of a dear friend of mine that I met at the Texas Renaissance Festival. His name is Joe Passanisi. He and his family own the Odd Duck at the fair, and we were introduced through mutual friends. But when I told Joe that I was writing a story and wanted to publish it, he told me, he said, if you run into any roadblocks with publishing, reach out to me. I have a friend who is a self-published author, and we can walk you through the steps. After being rejected by the agents and me going, okay, I'm going to self-publish, I reached out to Joe. He got his friend James Percy, who is also an author, on the phone, and the three of us had this conversation, and Joe and James walked me through those steps, which made the process less intimidating, because trying to get published, whether it's traditional, independent, or self-published, is a long, tedious process. But having people that had already gone through it and were willing to walk me through, hold my hand through it, made it so much easier. And I felt like, okay, I can actually make this happen. Joe also introduced me to my illustrator. He and Brian Brinley went to high school together. And then he also introduced me to my editor, Alex, who is his daughter. This would not exist without Joe. And then Joe and his business partners for the last 2 years have invited me to sell my books out of their shops at the Texas Renaissance Festival, which has been my #1 selling venue. If they are watching this, thank you, Joe, James, Jeremy, Gary, and Dale. Y'all are amazing. And also thank you, Claudette. Claudette helped me with copyrights, getting into the Library of Congress, getting ISBNs. My Odd Duck family is amazing, and I would not be here without them.
Wow. So how quickly after you got rejected from the traditional publishers did you encounter them?
So I got the last of my rejections in October, and then it was immediately after that I was like, okay, I'm ready to start doing this. So I've met so many people through the Renaissance Festival, and everyone has these unique backgrounds outside of the fair, so many talents and so much knowledge. And Joe is such a natural businessman. I love working with him. And then this year, he actually brought me in on a game opportunity. Him and his friend, Dan Chris, they own Power Gamers. They released the 10th anniversary of a game called Tavern Masters. And as part of its anniversary edition, Joe reached out and he said, we would love to have your Merlin in the game.
Cool.
So it's a card game where you build your tavern and you're drawing in your patrons. Well, my Merlin is a noble patron. And if you get him in there, there's like special gifts that he'll give you, gold coins and all that. So they added my Merlin, and they also added one of the foods of my fairies in the game as well. The only way people can get the cards is if they buy my book.
Oh, wow.
It turned out to be a great success and people loved it. It was just a good way to get the book out there more.
Yeah. And what I think, I mean, I'm not really surprised by this now that I'm hearing you say it, but the fact that Renaissance Festival has creative people through different ventures, right?
Yes.
Of course, because if you allow people to have fun, keep the magic alive within them, then they're going to be able to express themselves creatively. Of course, there's going to be authors and artists and publishers and gamers and all of the things because you're able to freely express your creativity.
Absolutely.
I need to go to Ren Fest. You know, guys, by the way, I've been wanting to go to Ren Fest over like 15 years. Have I ever gone? No.
I've never gone.
Have y'all never been?
No.
I've never been, but I've always wanted to go.
I will walk you. You will be my special guest.
That's her.
Yes, I can show you all the things, get you to the best shops, and there's so much to do. You can't do it all in a day. I mean, there's over 500 shops. There is so many different entertainers, so much food. It's just a lot, but I have been going for so long now. Like I said, since my 20s, and now I'm 35. I love it there. It is a place of fantasy, of pretend, of creativity, of just getting in touch with your imagination, and it's a perfect place. I think it really did probably play a part in my fantasy writings. There are some elements in here. Obviously, my Renaissance Fair friends have read the story, and they're like, oh my gosh, this scene reminds me of Ren Fair. And I'm like, not surprised.
Well, that's what I was thinking as you were talking about this book at the fair, that it's almost like you've provided an immersive reading experience.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So April, what's lighting you up recently?
What's lighting me up is writing my nonfiction, which is a memoir. I'm hoping to release it in the fall.
Of this year?
Yes.
Even more busy. I cannot wait.
In 2021, in addition to my dad, I also lost my horse. who I named my brand after. Bay Horse Press is inspired by him. And it was a traumatic event. It spanned 22 days.
Oh my gosh, how old was yours?
He only lived to be 19. He should have lived longer. We were together for 14 years. Even though I exhausted all my options, I did everything I could, I still felt tremendous guilt at the end for not saving him. And it was a lot to carry. And it actually took therapy to finally come around to forgiving myself. And during those sessions with my therapist, I sat down and started writing our story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this memoir is. It's a collection of my favorite memories with him. His name was Tommy, and he was a Bay Thoroughbred without papers, complete mystery horse, but turned out to be an incredible horse, a great companion. It's just my last act of love for him and my final goodbye.
Is it also a story of forgiveness?
I'm hoping that it will. So through it, I do share how I came to forgive myself, but I'm hoping it will help other people who have been in those situations with a beloved animal, because it's really hard to make that decision when that animal can't tell you. The hard part is when their spirit is willing, because they love you so much, they'll fight for you, but their body's just not willing.
So true. Thank you for sharing. It's like a traumatic but also beautiful story all in one. And I'm so glad that you went to therapy. I'm glad that you found forgiveness. And it's probably a matter of forgiving yourself over and over, multiple times.
It's not like one session and you're done. You did the best you could with what was in front of you, what you knew, saw, and were told at the time.
So true.
I do encourage anyone who struggles with that. And it's not just losing a beloved animal. It can be losing any person any life that's near and dear to you. Going to therapy does help. I hope my story will help others.
That is so true. It's not just human life, it's animal. And I think everyone will have, if they haven't experienced it yet, they will at some point in their life. And it's heavy and it sits with us, even if it's a person, right? Like DNR, do not resuscitate. These are choices that family members have to make or you have to make for yourself. So these are heavy subjects. And I like what you said about how animals will fight for you because they love you that much. We had a Great Dane, and almost as big as a horse. But we didn't know anything was wrong. We had my oldest, and our Great Dane changed, right? I thought it was because we brought a baby home, took her to the vet, and they, ran the test, and she had a giant tumor. We had no idea. Mm-hmm. She knew that we finally knew when we were at the vet. That night, she could no longer walk. She had been pretending and trying to walk for I have no idea how long. But the second she knew we knew, she was like, okay, I can give up. I can release. And not even a week later, we had to put her down.
I mean, I won't go into the details because that's for anyone who wants to read the story. But towards the end, my boy fought so hard. And quite honestly, I don't think anyone could really explain it other than he was fighting for me. And I saw that. I felt it. And I loved him. And I was all the more proud of him. But I was like, you have fought for 22 days. I don't want to say goodbye, but I know the right decision.
Oh my God, now I'm crying again.
I've been crying over here. That's why I'm crying, guys.
We cry in every episode. I'm like, we're not going to cry with April.
Well, she brings this up.
So I'm supposed to hand it off to my editor at the end of the month. Our goal is to publish it either August 21st, which was his birthday. That was my boy's gotcha day. Or September 29th, which was the day he passed. So this marks 5 years on that date. I'm like,
it's a breadcrumb.
Oh, it's going to happen. What do I need to do to hand off a good draft? She's like, I just want you to make me cry. And I'm like, that will not be a problem.
You're like, it's already done. You're already crying.
That is one also beautiful and terrible thing about art is because it does evoke all of the emotions, whether you're speaking about your art or we're experiencing your art. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I wish I could say more, but I'm really trying not to break down. But I love you.
That's actually one of the first times I was able to share without breaking down myself. Like I can feel the tears are right there, but I'm like, hold it together.
You did really good. But if you want to cry, you freaking cry. Fine.
Oh, we're good.
I'm like, I'm over here bawling. So you do whatever you need to do. Okay.
Those things stick with you, right?
They'll never leave.
It never goes away. I always say that like when someone passes, whether it's a fur baby or a human, like there's a hole in your heart. And even though you don't maybe think about it as often, when you do, like the hole is there. It's never going to completely heal.
Yeah. And it was interesting because so when we were leading up to that point, I had a feeling that we were not going to win the fight, but I was going to definitely try. I was telling my mom, I was like, Dad gave me Tommy. Dad's gone. I cannot help but see where this is going. And my mom's like, I cannot right now. Nope. But it really did feel like both my earthly father and my heavenly father gave me this wonderful horse. My earthly father was in heaven. And then I'm like, okay, Lord, I know where this is going. You're about to call my boy home too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, your dad wanted to be with, you needed a friend up there, you know?
He's riding your horse.
Aw, I like that.
I love that. Yeah.
They're just waiting.
They're waiting for
me
you.
to come.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though everybody knows how the story ends, it is still a book that you buy because of the journey to get there. So keep us updated on when that comes out. I do want to share one funny story about an animal passing. And I know that sentence is weird. That is a weird sentence, but stick with me. So we had our cat. So two things. I got this cat with my husband really early on in our relationship. I'm a cat person, dog person, horse person, right? Like I love all the animals. He's not a cat person, but he agreed to this because he loves me. We went to the shelter and we got this cat. And maybe 2 years later, he says something weird. He's like, well, she's going to die soon. And I was like, what do you mean she's going to die soon? He's like, well, cats don't live very long. And I was like, oh, no, we have this cat for like 20 years. And he's like, what? I would have never agreed to that. So he signed up for this thing, not knowing how long. Turns out she did not live till 20 years. But fast forward, we have, again, that same daughter. And she's, I think, 3. And we do have to we waited too long. And that's the other balance. It's hard. I look at videos and I'm like, oh, shit, we waited way too long. But you do what you can, like you said, with the information that's in front of you at the time. So this is a great service. We had a vet come to our house to put her down.
Oh, wow.
And so I let her in the backyard for her last moments. And I'm very direct with my girls. It's very important for us to be truthful and direct in our house. So she's 3 and I say, this is our cat's last day. I want you to say goodbye. Give her all the hugs and kisses. We're going to bury her in the backyard. Great. The cat goes and lays in the sandbox and Amelia starts to bury her. She's not dead yet. That's my favorite story and a reminder do you remember when you tried to bury our cat alive?
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so with that, should we move on to Flower Hour?
Yeah, let's end on a happy note.
Flower Hour. These are our quick takes. These are our hot takes. What's got you fired up and anything and everything that you want to talk about.
So I've filmed, but I never liked being on camera. But now I'm like, well, I just got through this, and this is the best I've ever done.
Okay, here's a hot take. Maybe we can turn that around on people. So why don't you share what was your hot take and how it's changed now that you've been on with us?
So before we started this, I said I am used to filming. I am not used to being on camera, and it kind of makes me hesitate like a deer in the headlights. But as y'all have seen, this has gone really well. So I'm going to blame them for this. I'm cured. I'm ready to go. So if anyone wants to have me on future interviews, I'm ready to go.
I love that. My hot take was podcasts should not be recorded because when I don't watch a podcast, I listen to a podcast. So when Danny makes me watch them, I'm like, I wish I could just be listening to this. So I really want to know, do you watch us or do you listen to us? Because this is where I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? What do you do, Danny?
I do both. No, okay. I listen to podcasts, but I love watching the clips from the podcasts I listen to.
Okay,
so
same.
to get to the clips, you have to have a recording.
I mean, I like the
video
clips.
recorded.
I do like the clips.
Yeah. So it's real. I have to be like a super big fan of the guest to get through watching it. And it's probably because everything has to be productive in life, right? Like I have to be doing something when I'm listening.
Let's unpack that too. Okay, maybe next time.
Another episode, but
What about you, April? Do you listen to podcasts, watch them?
I feel like I'm a multitasker. I would rather listen to it while I'm doing something like driving. But if I'm going to watch, it has to be worthwhile. Like I said, somebody like maybe like a celebrity guest that you really like to follow and know. But for other occasions, I do love outtakes, which y'all had. And I was like, this is great. Because everyone knows what what bloopers are like. Everyone has those moments, and it's like, it just makes you more human.
That is true. And so I don't know if people, okay, so every episode, for those that don't know, if you get past the recording at the end of every episode, we always have bloopers at the very, very end. It's always like a little Easter egg for people.
Kind of like at the end of movie credits.
That's
Exactly.
exactly right.
And so if you listen, you can fast forward through that part, or you can actually just go watch the very end, because sometimes they're funnier to watch than listen to be
Just
quite
say
honest.
go watch. You need to be recorded to watch it. So just want to point that out.
I think we've determined we're recording. We're recording. There's no changing the recording.
You are in it now.
This is a fun hot take. I like it.
Yeah. I like that we changed your mind on it. I love that.
Exactly.
So where can people find you?
You can find me at my website at bayhorsepress.com. You can also find me on Instagram at author.ahenley. I'm also on Facebook, April Henley Author. On TikTok, that's also at author.ahenley. If you go to my website, there is an opportunity to sign up for my newsletter, which will give you exclusives to book updates, giveaways, and other news.
You sound like busy. I'm like, yeah, when do you have time to write?
Like tired, just listen. She's like, I need a nap now.
Oh my God. So thank you so much for coming today. Guys, go out and buy these books. I mean, if you're looking for a fun, cozy story and also want to express your creativity and make it yours, let's go do it.
Where can people buy them?
So both of these books are available on Amazon. Both are available in paperback and hardcover. Treasures in a Bottle is also available in ebook and non-audio. But if anyone out there in Texas wants to be an independent publisher and have a printing house, please reach out to me.
So, April, should I give her the choice?
Yeah, you get to choose.
Okay.
Find or follow.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you like?
Follow. Okay, I like both. I think for me, it's like follow because for two reasons. One, I think about, when y'all said breadcrumbs, I thought of Hansel and Gretel.
Yes.
And second of all, I feel like, again, as I'm a Christian and just feeling like God lays out the breadcrumbs and it's my job to like pick them up. And sometimes he'll steer me back on the path like, no, they're over here. Oh. So yeah, I feel like I've been following the breadcrumbs all my life and found amazing opportunities.
Where do you leave all that
I feel like you're turning me to follow now because I also believe that God is steering us. So maybe I have changed my mind.
We need that whiteboard.
I know we
to
need the
tally.
We were gonna tally like who agrees with find, who says follow, because it's fun. Why not? All right, everyone. So go off into the week and
Follow your breadcrumbs. Well done.
Love it.
We may cuss, we may offend.
Maybe don't listen to this with your kids in the car. We're here to learn and laugh, not to offend.
We are not experts, so take what resonates and professional advice where needed. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
If you've loved today's conversation, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Continue picking up the breadcrumbs by leaving us a review and sharing.
Follow us on socials. We are at Instagram at The Breadcrumb Effect, TikTok at The Breadcrumb Effect Pod, and YouTube at The Breadcrumb Effect.
Let us know your favorite episode or what you'd like to see.
Want to be a guest or know someone with a story? Fill out our guest interest form linked in our bios.
Finally, let us know if you found the hidden loaf. Until next time, keep picking up those breadcrumbs.
They're leading you exactly where you're meant to be. Walking away. I'm walking away. Testing.
Hello. I need some music.
I know y'all need like an intro, like a jingle or something.
We always add that in after we record. We could make it a button, but it's all part of just
Do you actually
intro.
We have
because we have our own. Actually, a friend of hers recorded it for us.
He's a musician and so we have the rights and everything.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, can we get that in writing?
Yeah.
Love you, but we did consult an entertainment lawyer before we started this, which is actually why we moved the name from Off Topic, because Off Topic was already in use.
Oh, okay.
And they had
Quite
a
a-
yeah. But then once we went this direction, what I like about this direction, it's like it's specific. Like we have a specific story that we want to tell.
Yes.
And that we want other people to tell.
And it's memorable and it's relatable.
Good. Everybody goes through it. All right. You want to kick us on?
I don't like to do the intros.
Yeah.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't ever tell her when we start either.
I'm just along for the ride, April.
She has to remind me every time. I end it, you open it.
I'm the closer.
Yeah, so this does seem like it's our first time, but it's not.
No, it's good.
All right, well, can you say that quote again? Because that was so good. Keeping magic alive?
I don't know what I said.
Yeah,
I mean, I know what I said. I know what I said, but I don't know exactly what I said. I'm pregnant.
Like, how dare you ask me to recall a single thing?
So this,
So sorry, Waldough.
I'll wait for it to come down.
Now you've exposed where Waldough is.
I know you don't want to. I'm laughing when he comes in.
Okay, Paula, that's
Okay.
enough. Oh, I'm sorry. Paula, look at that. He's licking your feet.
That was not in this shot. That's probably good. Oh, he's like Butler. He was licking my feet. I'm sure there's somebody into that at some place.
I hope you got that on camera.
My feet are cut
Cut off.
Damn it.
If only.
Remember, we said tops to the book.
Oh my god.
My priorities are way off. Maybe I'm so
We would
proud.
get more views if we did this. Okay, let me get serious. Just kidding. I'm never serious.
I meant to mention about God's blessings, but my brain just forgot.
We're gonna put it in there. I can put anything. Yeah, it's fine.
So I just pressed record. What is this?
She never tells us.
So
Yeah.
it could be like zoopsie.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an idea. And yes, I agree, right? I sent her a video. Maybe we should do this with her.
Oh my
where
god,
we
that's
asked
fun.
ChatGPT to write us a script of people when it was like write a script of
They were two girls who are dating the
fighting
same
a
guy.
over a
Yeah.
guy.
But
I
we
was
should do
do
another
it
one.
where like we're fighting over a podcast or fighting over a book,
my
and then we
gosh.
have to try and read the script. It's bad.
Cut this part.
I know. Does that go against your ethics? I'm sorry.
For real, we can do anything.
For real, it's fine.
For real, right?
Real, for real.
Where are you? Come
Oh,
closer.
where am I? Who?
Okay, you're not ready.
6 months for a potato.
The magic system is very complex.
Explain it in one sentence.
Well, it's tied to bloodlines, lunar cycles, and ancient runes. Too many moons. Pick one. It's a trilogy. Why? You're here.
Just say you didn't finish the story.
There's an enemies to lovers arc.
Why
are they enemies? Political tensions, between kingdoms.
So miscommunicated.
Also, why is the love interest morally gray?
Because he's complicated.
No, he's toxic. But I would defend him with my life.
This is exhausting. Welcome to fantasy readers.
Anyway, when's book 2?
I haven't finished it.
Hello? Oh, what? Oh, I keep.
You're like, no, I.
The last one. 1, 2, 3.
We're sick and seen.
We're sick.
Because we're like,
We're sick of this?
No, we're sick like because we like the enemies to lovers and he's morally corrupt and morally gray and
We're sick.
we're sick. Like, we need it. Belly's feeling so big today.
It's cute.
Oh.
Babe, how are you feeling?
I feel fine. I just need to buy some maternity clothes. My butt.
I know my right side's asleep.
I hope you're reporting that part, dude. That's
I just felt that.
Okay, so we're gonna say follow. All right.
Okay.
All right, everyone. So go off into your week and
Follow
follow
your
your breadcrumbs.
I need to do that one more time.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
Follow your
Your, or is it you're the?
follow your
Follow your breadcrumb.
follow
Your.
your breadcrumbs. Yeah.
Your. Okay.
Okay.